This is EC Pescatore a Mosca. This video specifically is for two shits. You know who you are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a check leader for you. And real quick, just the short line check. And we'll go from there. I'm going to do it in probably two phases. Phase number one will be the top section of the leader, which is easy and quick. Phase number two will be the bottom section, which will be tippet material as opposed to leader material. For this, I'm going to use the Maxima 15-pound test, and I'm using the Chameleon. You can get this in clear also, the leader, but get the leader material from Maxima. Get it around 15 for the minimum, or even 20, but I prefer the 15. You might prefer the 20 because it might be easier for you to flip. And now we'll get started. So what I've done here is I've taken off about 5.5 feet, roughly 5.5 feet is good. So with 5.5 feet of the heavy leader material, and don't use the tapered leaders, waste of money and time. I'm making a loop, and I'm just going to do what's called a figure 8 on a bite, which is similar to an overhand knot. Typically on an overhand knot you just bring it back through, but on a figure 8 on a bite you would bring that loop all the way around and come through the top this way. You can see that. Come through the top. I'll do it with the tweezers, maybe it's a little more visible. So we've got the figure 8. So what's going to happen is you got the, right? And then I'll just reach through with the tweezers. And before you pull this knot tight, you should see that. That should be what you're looking for. If you don't see a figure 8, then it's not done properly. Lubrication. Snug it up. Tighten that and tighten the tag end. I use a smooth round portion of my deals there. You can use a round portion of a pair of pliers or whatever. A lot of times what I'll do is, since this leader is going to be good for a year probably, I'll take a pair of pliers on that tag end only, not on the other end, but the tag end, and pull that up tight, because you don't want to damage the line itself. Then, the next phase, we'll clean this tag end off of here, and we have a figure 8 on a bite, and that figure 8 on a bite is not going to come out, and that's the loop you're going to attach to your fly line right there. Like I say, this portion of the leader is going to be good for a year. I've got one on now that I've used since the spring, and it's still good. You're not going to be using indicators, because this tight line, this is tight line nymphing, short line, tight line nymphing. You're going to be directly above a lot of these runs, or a little bit off to the side of a lot of these runs, but you're going to be able to get down quick. What I've found is the cheapest and the best way to put a sighter on is just go to like Sportsman's Warehouse or whatever and get bobber stoppers. Bobber stoppers. And essentially that's what it is. They're super cheap, $1 something for these, and you get like 5 or something. Anyway, so they got a little bead in there. And the reason I put the bead on, you don't have to, is just for my old eyes, as you so joyfully indicate. Okay, so, and then this is what the bobber stopper looks like. Okay. So we're going to take this bead So before you put the tippet ring on, you need to put this little thing on if you're going to use one. It just slides on, and you just go ahead and throw it all the way back to the loop and just leave it there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a tippet ring on this. And what I use for this is I'm going to use what's called a uni knot. I've been using the uni knot now for about a year, and it's probably the best. Strong. I haven't yet to break one. It's always held. It's a good clean knot, and it's super easy. So the uni knot, take about 4 or 5 inches or whatever. Make sure your tippet ring is at the end of the loop. Pinch that, and then just take these two lines together, and you can look up uni knot on YouTube, and it'll show you how to do it. And essentially, what you're doing is you've got this turned over like that, and this comes across the front, and you have a little loop right there, and you have both lines coming through. So with both those lines, you're going to go forward through that loophole. So you're wrapping that tag end around, wrapping the tag end, it's kind of hard to see with my fingers here, around both lines. And you can do that 4 times. Like I say, it's super easy. I do this in the field all the time. I use this knot a lot now. So after you've got that about 4 times, you're going to see the knot's going to look like that, wrapped around, big old hole. Then you're going to take the tag end and just bring that up a little bit. Of course, lubricate it, bring it up, but don't bring it completely tight. Just bring it up snug to the other line. And then you're just going to, holding onto that tippet ring, you're just going to pull this line and just slowly pull it down. Now what I found, especially on this heavy line, what you'll have to do is, so what I've done is I've taken a short piece and fed it through that loop so that I can hold on both. So now you're looking at this portion here is my main line, and this is just a 6, 8 inch, maybe 10 inch piece of scrap, and that'll allow me to pull this up snug and just pull it up snug. And then what I do is I'll grab that tag end with my teeth or a pair of pliers and just snug it up. But that knot is tight. And you can see this other piece is just to help pull it in tight. Then we're going to nip off that tag end pretty short. I like to leave just a little just in case, but I've never ever had one of these knots come out. And I've had, like I say, one on that's been on since the spring, and it's good. So now we have our butt leader material. Now you still have that bead on here, if you'll see, and the other portion of these bobber stoppers is this, and it's just a tube, and you just push that tippet through that tube, and then you just take this black piece of tubing and you slide the knot off. So the knot is just around the line. So now you can just pull that off or just let it hang there for a minute. And I still like to wet these, and so you've got essentially you've got that tube off. This camera section, okay, and then you've got this. So just wet that a little bit, and then pull that snug. Doesn't have to be super tight, but you pull it snug. This all of a sudden is your cider, and you could slide this anywhere depending on what depth you're trying to achieve. And if it gets pulled under, you're still going to be able to watch what's happening, and you're still be able to read that cider. So you're not going to be using, that's the only indicator you're going to be using. If you want to cut it off a little shorter, you can. Ends will fray, so I just leave them bushy, but if you don't like that, you can just hit them with a little lighter and seal them up, and they won't get bushy on you. Alright, so that is the butt section of the leader. I will now do the next section of this leader, and it'll be in two segments, this segment and then the next segment.